What's going on, YouTube? So I'm about to be live reacting to episode 9 of RWBY. Couple of things that we're expecting in this episode. So the last episode left us with quite a cliffhanger there, because we literally don't know if Crow lived or not, if he's still alive. I mean, he's got venom all over his hands and it looked just bad. I really hope he's okay, and we'll just have to see if he's alright. I really like his character and I don't want him to die. Another thing, we're also going to get to see Blake going after the White Fang member, and I'm really curious if that White Fang member will lead Blake directly to Adam, which would probably not be a good thing at this point, because as someone brought up in the comments of the last video, Adam said something in volume 3 that really is an attack on Blake. Adam said, "I will make it my mission to destroy everything you love." So I know Blake has been running from the White Fang and Adam, but since she's come to Menagerie, now she's brought Adam possibly into contact with her family, and bad things might happen to them because of what Adam said in the previous volume. Also, we might get to see Weiss finally break out of her mansion. She's definitely going to be training, and I really like to see more of that. I also like to see Yang's training, because we need her back on the team, like I've been saying for many episodes. I really don't know what to expect with this one, but I'm expecting great things. So let's go. There we go. Nice blocking. Spy! Nice block.
Whoa, that thing packs a punch.
I bet it does.
We've been at this for weeks. I get it. You want to make sure I can still fight. I think I'm doing just fine.
Yeah, buddy.
You're close.
Oh, really?
You're still off balance.
What?
He's
No,
gonna
I'm not.
push her off balance, watch.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised. I thought it would just be this huge weight, but it feels natural. They did a great job with this thing.
Ooh.
I wasn't talking about your actual balance.
Oh. That looked like actual balance to
Although,
me.
that could use some work too.
There you go. What a cutie. Yo, it's mine.
Meaning?
I saw your tournament fights. During the Vital Festival?
Let me guess. I was sloppy.
No. You were predictable.
Predictable.
And stubborn. And maybe a little boneheaded.
But she's very strong, you have to admit.
Do you realize that you used your semblance to win every fight after the qualifiers?
Oh?
So what? How is me using my semblance any different than someone else using theirs?
Because not everyone else's is basically a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
That's funny.
Once you take damage, you can dish it back twice as hard, but that doesn't make you invincible. It's great when you're in a bind, but what happens if you miss?
Mm-hmm.
What happens if they're stronger? What then? Now you're just weak and tired. You've always been one to burn brighter than everyone else.
Yeah.
Whether it was with your smile or, well, I remember your first haircut. But you gotta keep your emotions in check. Keep a level head and think before you act. Your semblance is a great fallback, but you can't let yourself rely on it.
Yep.
It won't always save you.
Gotta be a good huntress. Whoa.
Definitely have your mom's stubbornness.
What was that about?
Oh, so now we can talk about her?
Well, as I have been informed, you're an adult now, remember?
Well, sorry I remind you of her.
Oh, dang.
Don't be. Raven was great in so many ways. Her strength, her ambition, her dedication to whatever cause she thought was worth fighting for. I'm proud of how much of her I see. But I'm glad I didn't see all of her.
Yeah, me too.
Why?
Your mother was a complicated woman.
Still is.
Like everybody, she had her faults, but those faults are what tore our team apart. And they did a real number on our family.
Mm-hmm.
We both act like the easiest way to tackle an obstacle us through it. That strength is all that matters in a fight. But if you just take a second look, then maybe you see there's a way around as well.
Yeah. Usually is. Deception. It's a good tactic.
One more before you.
I like this. Tiny Yang still got it.
See? All right. Now you're using your head instead of your...
Ooh. She's learning. Yay. My favorite. Oh, it's the sword that the knights used. Get out of here, Whitley. Gosh. Close the door on him.
How hurtful. And here I am about to offer you a favor. Father's taking me into town to introduce me to some of his business partners. I thought I'd see if you wanted me to pick you up anything since you're, well, stuck here.
Are you jealous? Is that it?
Whatever do you mean?
Is that why you hate me? Are you jealous of my abilities?
I think so.
Of Winter's?
No, not really. Honestly, I find it barbaric. It's beneath people like me, like Father. What could a single huntsman possibly do that an army could not?
A lot.
That's why we have one, even if it is run by a fool.
I said, leave.
Yeah, get the heck out, man.
Fine, fine. I've got better things to do. Enjoy your training, however pointless it is.
She's just lop off his
What
head
is
right
your
there.
plan anyway? What do you hope to accomplish while trapped in your own bedroom?
I like that. I had a girl eyes. That's good. I'm so curious to what the story is behind these knights. It has to be something to do with this guy.
Vishni, are you all right?
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
That is sick. Let's go, guys.
I need a favor.
Let's go. Helper Klein. Attaboy. I see it. So we're back at this fighting. Wolfaunus, I believe. Looks like it. That's cool. That was a cool transition.
Why are you watching me?
His leader Adam told him to.
girl, you know.
That's a cool weapon.
Grab the scroll!
She should have grabbed it right before that. That was good. Somewhat good. It's
Watch out!
that.
Ilya.
She's a chameleon. Ilya.
You know her? But she doesn't even look like a fool.
Yeah.
Son! Give it to me. No. You shouldn't have come back.
That is. That's a cool character. I like that.
Son!
I guess.
Son! No, not again, please.
Jeez.
Help! Somebody! Hold on, son. Just hold on.
It'll be okay. Interesting character. Is
Hold
what I'm
on,
saying.
Uncle Crow.
Jeez. Okay, he's alright for the moment. That's rough, dude.
She's not coming. Die.
It's getting worse.
How much farther? We've gotta be close.
Slipping under
Without the
the
map,
wheel.
there's no way of knowing. But I feel like we're close to something.
What is it? Hey, hey, Mistral! We're on the right path! Oh. Does it say how close?
Jeez. That's a long
And
way.
it looks like the path takes us up through the mountains.
That's gonna be a long way.
Guys, I don't know if all of us can make that climb.
Jeez.
Okay, well, what about this place? Kuro, Yuri,
Alright.
can we get help there?
That village was destroyed years ago.
But if it takes us around the mountains, it's the best bet we've got.
It will take too long.
The town would have had a doctor, right? Or maybe we could scavenge for medicine.
Right.
We're not going to find anything. We just have to press on.
Ren, why are you acting?
We can split up. Ren and I can cut through the mountains while you and Ruby take Crow around through the village.
No, we're supposed to stick together.
Yeah.
And keep each other safe.
We don't have time for safe.
Is that where his parents died?
If we make it to Mistral, we'll bring back help. If we don't, we'll at least have a better view of the land. Up there, we can see if there's somewhere else we can go.
Jeez. He's not gonna make it if they don't do something soon.
Okay.
Jeez.
Just take care of each other.
Please don't split up.
We always have.
This is not a good idea. Crow's gonna die on the way, I bet. Not a good idea. Because there's people from Salem's faction hunting them.
They're gonna be fine, John.
We don't know that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, she even has her doubts. Oh no, what's this gonna be here? I don't like this. The Graham. Always the Graham. They shouldn't have split up. Oh, that's all I can say, guys. So at the beginning of this episode, I was really glad to get to see Yang finally training with her father, because I was wondering when they're finally going to develop that little plot point. It's good to see that Yang's getting used to her new robotic arm. I didn't think originally that she was going to be using it, but now it's kind of looking like she is. We'll still have to see when she goes into battle how that works for her. Regardless, it is really cool that we get to see her fighting some more. Yang seems to be really happy with the way her arm is performing, and that obviously shows in her sparring with her father. Tai Yang mentions something in the middle of their fighting, and that is that Yang is off balance. And Yang takes that to mean that she's physically off balance, like her feet work is not good. Which is true, because her father does actually get her feet out from under her and throw her on the ground, kind of. But what Tai Yang meant was that Yang is off balance in her fighting style. And Yang has no idea what her father's actually talking about. And then Tai Yang points out that Yang actually used her semblance during all the fights during the Vital Festival after the qualifiers. Yang was very stubborn and made some bad choices in her fights, and she basically had to power through her mistakes. And Yang basically says, "That's stupid, why would I not use my semblance to my advantage?" And then her dad compares her semblance to a temper tantrum, which isn't too wrong because, you know, toddlers get really angry when something happens to them, and they just gotta brute force their way and kick and scream. And I wouldn't say to that degree with Yang, but she definitely gets very angry whenever she uses her semblance, it seems like. Tai Yang brings up the point that if Yang does use all her power in one hit, then she will be in danger of losing because someone else can hit her harder and take her out of commission. Tai Yang Yang says that he's always admired that strength that she has, but she needs to keep it under control and be level-headed in her fighting. Tai Yang reminds Yang that her semblance should not be used as a last resort, and Tai Yang tells Yang that she shouldn't rely on it because it won't always save her. And then he gets this very weird expression on her face, and Yang takes note of that. Then for some reason I get the feeling that what Tai Yang is thinking about is Summer Rose. This is just a theory, but I feel like maybe Summer Rose used her semblance in the last minute to try and save herself, and it didn't work, and that's how she ended up dying in the end. He could be thinking of someone else, correct me if I'm wrong, tell me what y'all think about it. And then Tai Yang goes into talking about Raven and how Yang is very similar to Raven, and that she's very stubborn and that she always goes 100% for whatever cause she deems worthy. And then Yang brings up the point that they haven't talked about Raven in the past, and now all of a sudden they can talk about her. But Tai Yang mocks his daughter here, basically saying that she reminded him at one time that she is now an adult. And then Tai Yang tells his daughter that he's very glad that he also does not see all of Raven in her. And Yang asks why that is, and he explains that there were some things about Raven that were not very good. And Tai Yang basically says that Raven had some problems and some faults that led to basically the downfall of Team Stark and also the family. And I feel like we get to learn a little bit more about Raven's character here, even though Tai Yang doesn't directly address it. I feel like one of the problems that Raven may have would have been charging into battle, possibly when her teammates were not completely ready, and Raven didn't keep in mind the correct regard she should have had for her team all the time. And that's interesting because we never really knew that Team Stark broke up and Raven was the cause of it. I feel like one of Raven's problems is committing to the wrong cause, which has been evidenced throughout the volume and in this scene. When Yang was born, she immediately went back to the Guild of Bandits that we see in this volume that actually destroyed Oniiri. So it's true that Raven does not have a good sense of what is the right cause. I mean, it was very obvious when Raven and Crow were talking in the tavern, and basically Crow was saying, which side are you on? And then Tai Yang gets back to explaining what Yang needs to correct. That being, she shouldn't just try to power through all her problems and look for ways around it instead of just going full force inward. And then we get to see Tai Yang and Yang sparring at the end here, and whenever Tai Yang stops to tell Yang what she's doing right, Yang basically takes his knees out from under him. Which tells me that Yang is very quickly picking up on what her father's trying to tell her, and I think that was great. One thing I'd like to point out about this episode is that we get to see each member of Team RWBY featured in their own little segment and their own little story, so I thought this episode was very full and it contained a lot, so I thought that was very good. And the next scene we get to see Weiss basically practicing her summoning in the mansion, and then we get to see that Weiss is actually summoning this awesome sword, and then her brother walks in and interrupts her. So what I see the scene as is that Whitley basically came to gloat about his freedom to Weiss, because obviously Weiss is locked up in the mansion. And Weiss isn't having any of that, so she basically decides to use the situation to maybe determine why Whitley is acting the way he is towards her. And she asks her brother if he is jealous of her and Winter's ability as huntresses. And he ponders that for a minute, and basically comes to the determination that it's vile and that it's beneath him. Because he's the businessman's son, he can't get his hands dirty doing any kind of that peasantry work. But what Whitley doesn't realize is that the reason he's alive right now is because hunters and huntresses are defending the kingdom. He also brings up the point that armies are the reason why the kingdom is safe, but that's not actually true. Because if you recall at Beacon, it was the army that was turning on all the citizens, and it was the hunters and huntresses which saved Vale. And Weiss is telling him to leave throughout this conversation. He finally does, and Whitley basically very disdainfully wishes Weiss well in her training. And I think it was great because Weiss just slams the door on him with one of her glyphs. And Weiss basically gets back to her summoning, and she summons this huge family crest that's very ornate looking. You can obviously tell that she's concentrating very hard, and she obviously summons something, but it totally blows the window out. And then her faithful butler Klein comes running and asking what happened in there. And then we see that Weiss has summoned this awesome coat of armor that's basically animate now. And if you guys recall, this is the same coat of armor that came from the Weiss trailer in the very, very beginning, the first time we saw Weiss. I think that's really cool. I think it's cool how they've incorporated it into this. I'm sure this coat of armor has some kind of story behind it, and I guess we'll have to learn that in the future. Weiss tells Klein that she basically has a request to make, and I figure she's trying to break out of there. I don't know at what point that's going to happen, but I'm going to be really happy whenever she does. It should be pretty soon, though, obviously. And then we cut to the scene where Sun and Blake are chasing the spy from the White Fang. Basically, they chase her for a little while and actually end up on a rooftop, and Sun, being the loudmouth that he is, almost gets himself killed right there with her sword. And it turns out that this White Fang member actually has a scroll that she's very, very interested in and is obviously trying to keep a hold of. And Blake and Sun obviously pick up on this very quickly and try to get it away from her. Sun knocks it away and basically holds her down as Blake tries and goes and gets the scroll, but the White Fang member knocks Sun off, and then Sun has to use his summoning to summon his clones and keep her held down. So Blake gets the scroll, and then Sun decides to run his his mouth again, and he promptly gets stabbed right in the shoulder. But right before this, we actually learn that Blake knows this White Fang member, and her name is Ilya. And Ilya appears to be a chameleon faunus, which is actually really cool. I didn't realize this when we first saw her, but obviously I'm seeing it now. I mean, she has the hair, it looks like a chameleon tail, and she has those very silvery, odd-looking eyes, and she's able to change her skin color, and then she also has a sword that is a lot like a chameleon's tongue, like it catches flies, it goes out and comes back in. I really like this character design, I think it's really cool. Ilya basically demands that Blake give her back her scroll. Blake refuses, and Ilya says that Blake should not have returned to Menagerie. I think I see now why Ilya didn't decide to stand and fight with Blake, because obviously she understands that Blake is a very strong huntress, and I don't think she could take her. As Ilya runs away, Blake quickly runs to Sun's side as he's been stabbed, and he's in no good condition, and she's very panicky. So we're basically left with that scene with her calling for help and hoping that Sun will be okay. I think he will be, but we'll just have to see how it goes, guys. And then we cut to Team Ranger and Crow going through the forest, and they're carrying Crow on a stretcher, and he's obviously alright for the moment, but he's obviously in delirium because he's mumbling things about Tai Yang, don't know what about. And Team Ranger comes to this fork in the road. Team Ranger's trying to find the nearest town so that they can get Crow medical attention. They come to this fork in the road, and one way goes into Mistral and through the mountains apparently, and one way goes through a town that has been abandoned for a long time. And John brings up the point that Crow probably won't be able to make it through the mountains, but Ren actually gets very angry at the idea of going through the abandoned town. I don't know why this is, but I feel like maybe possibly this is where his parents died, because Nora obviously picks up on that very quickly, that he's angry about going to that town. Who knows, maybe they didn't die in Onigiri. Tell me what y'all think about that. So what happens is they decide to split up as Crow and Ruby and John go to the abandoned town, and Nora and Ren go through the mountains to Mistral. I think this is a really bad idea because they know that people from Salem's faction are coming after Ruby, and they need to be in a group to defend themselves. At least more or less, because they work best as a team. So at the end there, they wish each other luck, and they go their separate ways. And John is worried that Ren and Nora won't be able to defend themselves, and Ruby reassures him that they will be, but you can see the doubt in her face at the end there. So that's the end of this episode. I'd like to thank you guys for watching all this way if you're still there. Tell me what you guys thought about the episode down in the comments. I really enjoyed it because we got to see development with each of the members of Team RWBY. I feel like the story's actually coming together now, and I'm really enjoying this volume so far. Can't wait for the next episode. And also something else here at the end, I've actually been 3D printing some stuff from my YouTube channel. This has been my YouTube logo, and I was wondering if I were to make these into the right colors, the purple and the green and the black, if y'all would be willing to buy these or be interested. Because I'd be selling them really cheap and it wouldn't be that much at all. Just tell me if you guys would be willing to buy one in the comments below, and tell me what else I should be printing and what else you might be willing to buy possibly. Because I'm open for suggestions, guys, with this 3D printing stuff. So I thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope this video was a nerf for you. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye, guys.